The dominoes are, undoubtedly are going to start falling here. Completely no surprise here. The dominoes are starting to fall. And I think if I'm Mark Meadows, I'm thinking maybe it's time for this domino to tilt.
The DA is building a RICO case with a theory of dominoes.
What is this testimony going to be like from Powell and Chesbrough? And two, will there be more dominoes to fall?
The answer is yes. A new domino falling today. Jenna Ellis confessing to an election crime on behalf of Donald Trump. Former federal prosecutor John Flannery is our special guest now. Good to see you, sir.
Good to be with you.
So we just went through what we've learned from these people. What does it mean that they're confessing, and is this the last domino?
The rats are leaving the ship, And it's a combination of things. I don't know that they're born again, as is suggested by Ellis's thing. And it's hard to believe a person who studied the law, who's been talking about public issues and so forth, could just have made a mistake. The ambition that we have as young people has to be harbored to be focused in a good way. And I think that too many of these people, just like Watergate, get sucked into having the ambition and the power and the access and so forth, and they forget all the rules that brought them to where they are. But the bigger picture is this is substantial. We have, this moves the earth. We're at a point where people are paying for what they did wrong. And we can feel the movement, the vectors moving toward a place where all of those who were involved are going to be just like Watergate over time. They're going to go down, including Trump himself. The Georgia coalition of identities is critical, it seems to me. And it's ironic. We have 3 lawyers now all able to point at different people, and they could make the case by themselves, but we forget we have all these unindicted co-conspirators, I think 19 in Georgia.
In Georgia alone, yeah.
And so you put that case together, and because of the pleas, now we don't have the delay of the 3 or 4 months of the first trial. And so I'm sure that Willis was thinking all of these things when she was putting this together, as we were wondering how she was cobbling away at this. And she was single-minded, and she's put together an unbelievable case. That
well, let me jump in on that. She's 4-0, and initially the view was, oh, well, as I said, these 2 now convicted lawyers were going to go on trial this week.
Right.
So deadline. Ellis did not have that deadline. It seems significant, and I want to play a little bit of what we showed. It seems significant that she, in concert with her counsel, realized waiting was not in her interest anymore. Take a look a little bit at what we showed of her today.
Right.
If I knew then what I know now, I would have declined to represent Donald Trump in these post-election challenges. I look back on this whole experience with deep remorse.
Do you view her rushing to court today as trying to beat the next person?
I think that she either on her own or got good advice. That, you notice the first offense was misdemeanors, then we moved to felonies and so forth. And there's going to become a cutoff point. And I've always made the remark about, we have a bus and we're putting people on it. You're either on it or you're under it. And so those people who are rushing to get on the bus, their instinct is correct. And they're in this middle ground where they have something to bargain with and they're not as offensive or as bad as, say, Trump. The vector should always be pointing up through the pyramid in the conspiracy. And these all satisfy that condition. And so what we have is we have people who are pointing up at those who misled them, that tantalized them, that brought them to this ruin, and now they're coming back from it. So whatever hesitation they have as they cross the river Styx back to society is compensated by the fact that they're doing it, that they've made a commitment to do it. And the shame and embarrassment and humiliation and what it means to a person who studied the law to perhaps lose their bar license and to have this stamp on them, I think is significant. And so, is no man above the law? Well, we still have problems with that, but we're working on it. So I think that's what's happening today, and what you're going to do later in the show is significant for that reason. It's a big
you're talking about this big news about Mark Meadows.
Absolutely.
And we have, with Jan 6 witness, Cassie Hutchison. I think we even have a box for that on screen somewhere. Somewhere there's a way to show that for folks who want to know. But Cassie Hutchison's coming up, as you mentioned, so we'll get to the DOJ Meadows case. I also want to show you the Washington Post reporting on the contours of this. As part of their plea deals, it says Hall, Powell, and Chesbrough recorded these lengthy videos answering prosecutors' questions about all of this. How unusual is that, and where will that be used? Because it would seem to lock them in more than just hoping that in 6 months they'll be good.
Well, you do that. When I was a prosecutor, it was almost always before a grand jury. And you don't just go in and do it by the seat of your pants. You've questioned them, you've studied them, and so forth. If they're uncertain, you probably don't go into that area because you don't want to compromise what they'll say later. But it's good to be saying it before the brickbats start flying and people are being accused of things and so forth, and you're not credible. A person who comes forward, of course, credibility is going to be questioned because of the advantages of the plea as compared to what others are facing. Okay, understood. But are they corroborated? Is there another person saying it? Have they said it independently? And these tape recordings serve as I would have used the grand jury as a young prosecutor. They serve to lock in. They want to lock them into their testimony because they also have a deal with them, and they don't want to be held and say, oh, you said this about so-and-so. Well, this is what they've said.
Yeah, and out of court, we've heard so many examples. People say, oh, this or that Republican was initially criticizing Trump on Jan 6, and then they changed again. And this sort of is not the usual public political back and forth. This is you're locked in, and if they need to, they could potentially ask the judge to show the video to the jury. So it's definitely heating up. John,
we're in the middle of history.
Middle of history.
It's a chapter in American history that is unequaled. And there are very few things that are like that. A president that betrays the nation, tries to overthrow it. Lawyers in trouble like Watergate, but nothing like Watergate, worse than ever. The costs are high, and they're high to our government and to our democracy, and we are restoring the republic step by step, and it's finally happening.
Well, no, you're good. It's only that we have Cassie Hutchinson standing by. Right. But I'll say on the serious note, we appreciate your rigor, your expertise, how much you care about this, to be going through the history with you.
Yeah.
And on the lighter note, if it's going to be history, why not have a bow tie around? I mean, that raises the level a little bit.
Good to be with you.
Good to see you, John.
Back at you.
You know, I do appreciate you. John Flannery back with us. Up next.